and it's snowing. So I thought I'd sing this song, 'cause when the winter wind starts to blowin', well, you know it makes me wanna do qigong. Yeah, it really makes me wanna do qigong. Actually, it kind of made me want to rather stay in bed, but instead we're going to do qigong. Wow. Well, yesterday was the first day of spring, so hey, what better way to usher in the brand new season than with a nice snowstorm?
It's typical, though. Yeah, it's happened.
It's typical.
More than once.
Aren't you jaded?
No, I'm
It's
just
so
saying.
typical.
We forget. We forget. You know, every year we are so surprised when we get
Snow.
weather. Yeah.
When we get weather. Hey, what's all that weather doing out there? Well, whether or not you like this weather, we are here, and I'm Bill.
I'm Gina.
And you are tuned into Posturing for Your Day, where we start off with just a few, maybe 15, 20 minutes worth of restorative movement, get the body going. And this week we are talking about breath work and the role that our breath plays on our anatomy and our physiology and our aches and pains and moans and groans, lumps and bumps. So, having said that, going to pass over. What are we going to do? A little bit of review, right?
A little bit of review, yeah. A little bit of expanding on the idea of breathing. Expanding on breathing. Anyway,
it is early.
It is early. So, yeah, I mean, breathing is a autonomic function, so it can happen without us having to make it happen, but it's also something we can have control over. And usually are somewhere playing back and forth with that. And control is a big piece of breathing because how we breathe can affect our mental state and our emotional state. And in turn, we can affect those things by how we breathe. So it's kind of an interesting.
So our emotions can affect our breathing, but our breathing can affect our emotions.
Exactly.
So they kind of feed off each other. I was sharing last time that I have a client with bad kyphosis, which is when the head, the hunchback, and there's also scoliosis, which is where the back becomes like an S curve. And one of the things we've been working on is how to straighten her out. I always try to straighten out my clients, but it never works.
Well.
And that I pointed out to her that I'm working from the outside in, but that with her breath work, she's actually working from the inside out. And I used the illustration of the milk carton. If you collapse a milk carton, you could try and crunch it by squeezing on the outside to get it back in shape, but there's still going to be a lot of kinks and wrinkles. But if you blow into the milk carton like a balloon and puff it out from the inside out, it does a better job. And I was equating that to our lungs. And you were sharing that there was a client who's, I can't remember how you worded it, but
yeah, so I have a client who, like many people, she's in a work situation which creates a lot of stress for her. And so not only does her breathing, I could take up a lot of time. I'm going to try to be succinct about this. Anyway, she's very clamped
50
down.
words or less. Tell us your experience.
She's very locked up, on like this, you can picture this sort of encasing of tension. Like she's learned to, in order to maintain her own sanity, she has to really tighten up in a sense.
Like guarding?
Like guarding, and it's in her tissue. You know what I mean? Like it's not just her muscle tension, but it's just her whole, like a shell, right? And her breathing kind of follows that. So her breath is very inhale, very short exhale.
Yeah, that's interesting because my client's the same thing.
Yeah.
When I say, okay, take a deep breath in, I don't get a nice, I get a short little blast, and that's it. And then when she exhales, and it's like that's not what we're after with that breath work.
Right. I mean, obviously they're living, they're surviving, they're getting air, but there's something that's not really reaching the entire body. And there's a lot you can say about that. In that breathing is a very vulnerable act. You're very receptive. You have to take in air. You have to take in your environment into your own space and body. So that's one way of maybe subconsciously controlling what comes in. It's just not breathing very much, but the rest of her body is suffering. And finding too, just doing some techniques to kind of, encourage a little vibration kind of stuff, and just finding her, holding her breath when she's doing it is very interesting, but probably would feel very vulnerable for her to just really allow
To relax.
her rib cage to relax. So
It makes me wonder the relationship of the breath work to the fascial system.
oh yeah,
Because the fascial system is that webbing that is your entire posture, your entire body from the skin in is all contained in one big organ called fascia. And if that fascia gets constricted and tightened, and that's what we do when we're guarding, when we're uptight, when we're tense. So, all right. Well, today we're going to do some Qigong and going to, I guess, pay special attention to the breath work and how the breath work is opening up the body and trying to get us ready for this glorious spring day.
One more thing, if you are really interested in fascia and you want to see some photos, videos, they're very intense. They're very real. Go to gilheadley.com. Maybe you can post that link.
Gilheadley.com.
He has photos and videos of human dissections, but you get to really see the fascia and just how, it's amazing.
Once you understand what fascia is and how it works, the mysteries of fibromyalgia, they're not mysteries anymore. They make a lot of sense. The mystery for why acupuncture works isn't a mystery anymore. It's an amazing organ, and the more we study about it, the more excited we get about it, because we realize, boy, this is where you need to access human health.
It's the connection we've been looking for between, one of the connections between
The
emotions.
mind-body connection really is the fascial system. So, all right, well, I'm going to get out of your way and let you do y'all thing.
All right.
And would you like a little musical accompaniment?
Sure, whatever. So we were starting on Monday, just using breath to imagine and visualize. Hold on one second. Creating more space and expansion in the body. So this is, I think literally how we feel in our bodies can kind of influence how we feel about life, how we feel about the world. So we start to feel very constricted and locked down and lacking choices and direction and movement. Sometimes just being able to breathe and imagine that we're creating that space in our own tissue can be helpful. All right, so I'm just going to start again with placing yourself in a posture, whether you're sitting or standing, where your body parts are stacking up, so your pelvis is neutral, your rib cage is balanced over the pelvis, head over the rib cage, shoulders relaxed. And just feeling the weight of your upper body sinking into either your pelvis or down into your feet. And then the top of your head lifted gently up toward the ceiling. Just begin with bringing in a visual of your craniosacral spinal construct, your skull, all 24 vertebrae, sacrum, the tailbone, and between the vertebrae are the discs. And with each in-breath, everything's just pulling away from each other slightly. Discs are expanding, space between the joints. As your head lifts up toward the ceiling, and then exhaling, everything relaxes. And with some keener perception here, you may notice with this exercise some of the musculature, tissue, around like maybe the mid back for me is where I'm noticing where things are not moving as well. They're kind of prohibiting some of this expansion in the spine. And we're just noticing that. I'll bring our awareness to the abdomen, the lower dantian, to the area between the navel and the pubic bone, and then within, internally at that point. And then we're just going to drop into that place with the breath, expanding it with the inhale, and contracting it slightly with the exhale. It helps for me. I place my hands here sometimes just to kind of cue and focus my breathing in this area. Now we're going to bring the breath up just a little bit to expand both the area below the navel and as well as just above it. So the whole abdomen is opening up with the in-breath and contracting with the exhale. And one more. Now I'll bring the hands to the sides, and we're going to breathe with the intention of expanding the abdomen along the sides into the hands. More breath in and out. And now we'll bring the hands back over the lower back, feeling the strong musculature from the rib cage down to the pelvis, and just imagining those muscles expanding and stretching under the in-breath and relaxing with the out-breath. A little bit trickier. We don't feel it quite as much as we do on the front and the sides. But again, imagination really helps here. Okay, for one last breath, you're going to bring one hand down to your lower dantian and the other hand on the rib cage. We're just going to expand the whole torso, feeling the breath coming in through the back of the nose, down into the rib cage and then the abdomen. And then exhaling, reversing the direction, abdomen, rib cage, back of the throat, out the nose, and in. Just following that pathway in and down to the depths and then back out again. One more. Back to normal breathing. All right, we're gonna do our arm shaking, shoulder shrugging, bouncy, bouncy. This is a great way of telling what you're holding on to, I think. As we're doing this, just really let as many parts of yourself go. So we start with the hands just to warm up. It's probably the easiest thing to shake around, and then get to the shoulders, and then the rib cage, and then just start allowing your breath, particularly the exhale, as the cue to just let things go. And where you're probably going to feel the most tension and hanging on is right in here in the abdomen. We always want to keep our gut sucked in, but let's see if we can just let all of that go. And some verbalization sometimes helps, just to really cue the inner child in us that used to do this and drive our parents crazy. Come on. I see you over there.
Verbalization.
Let it go. In the interest of creating space, where this is also helping as we let our abdominal muscles go. Again, the tendency for a lot of us in this culture is to suck the gut in for any number of reasons, and
so that we have good posture.
So we have good posture, so we look better than we actually are, whatever it is. Or, sometimes it's a protective thing too. But know that, there's not extra space in there. So when you are contracting your abdominal muscles, that stuff goes somewhere. It's not like you're taking up used space. It's either pushing up into your diaphragm or down into your pelvic floor. So it's good to let that go, at least once in a while. All right, last one. This is a little Qigong move that's going to help us work with the fascia and the muscle connections between the fingers all the way up through the arms, the shoulders, and into the spine.
Now, is this considered the lung meridian?
This particular one is for the large intestine meridian, which is on the outer part of the arms, and then up into the shoulder and the neck. All right, so standing pelvis width apart. I'm going to bring the arms out. Stretch them out with the exhale. Now we're going to do 9 breaths here. With each breath, we're going to imagine the arms elongating just a little bit more, starting with the fingertips. So in breath, exhale, fingertips stretch out. In breath, roots of the fingers. Breath in, the wrists. Breath in, the elbow joints. Breath in, the shoulder joints. Breath in, the shoulder blades. Breath in, tissue around the spine. And then one more breath in, arms reaching out as far as you can toward the horizon. And then we come in and just relax the hands here slowly. Take a couple breaths in. And then release the arms. Good one. Should we do it again?
That's energizing.
It is, yeah. Let's do that one more time. So bring the hands up. Arms stretch out, beginning with the fingers.
Now what are we doing with the fingers? We're imagining that they're stretching out.
Yes, you're imagining that your fingertips are stretching out. Finger joints are, space between the finger joints. We're kind of focusing, I think, on the joints and the attachment sites of each of these areas and just visualizing space. All right, so breath in, fingertips, breath in, the wrists, breath in, elbow joints, breath in, shoulder joints, breath in, shoulder blades go wide, breath in, whole arm structure opens up away from the spine. One more breath in, whole arm going toward the horizon. And then bring it in, rest position, the breath, relax the shoulders, relax the arms, and then release. And you shake them out if you need to, get a little bit of circulation back in. Your arms may now feel about a foot longer than they were when we started, which is cool because that's the power of proprioception, right?
Do you have one for the legs too, so that we're not
So we're
walking
not
around with our
Knuckles dragging,
on the
yeah.
ground? When you were doing that, I found it helpful. The breath in, then as I was breathing out,
The stretch.
yeah, during the stretch,
Right.
I was visualizing the breath going down my arm, and even though we know that the breath is coming back out of the nose or the mouth, but my visualization was a breath in, and then on the breath out, that the breath was running down the arm and out the fingers.
That's great, yeah.
And it seemed to naturally give me the sensation that somebody was pulling my arms like further out.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings up that other point, and we'll only touch on it briefly, but again, the role of visualization in Qigong and these stretching exercises is really important. And some people get weirded out by that, like it's like magic or something, or your fantasy. But, you know, in your everyday life, you do it all the time. Gina was talking about the way we tighten our gut and we contract our whole body is regarding. Think about the reaction that your body has to fear or to worry. Things will tighten up to the point where you will raise your blood pressure. You will throw the switches in your autonomic nervous system from the parasympathetic to the orthosympathetic, your fight or flight system. All of that can happen by visualizing, and we do it all the time. You're upset, so what? Your stomach's in a knot and you can't eat. So what we're saying is let's tap into that same system for the good. If only we used our fascia for good instead of evil.
And they don't have to be big dramatic fears and worries. I mean, just watching the news, you know, just the kind of entertainment that we are feeding our brains on. You know,
Yeah.
I wish we could hook people, I'm sure people do, you know, hook up sensors to see the blood pressure going up just from watching something that we consider entertainment.
Yeah.
You know, how much that plays with our bodily functions.
Yeah, so if we tap into that in our breath work, and then we're visualizing being lifted up by a string, or we're visualizing our arms being opened up and stretched out, the fascial system will respond to that. Your parasympathetic nervous system will respond to that. And that's the great thing about that, because you don't have to get up at 7:30 in the morning to do that. You can do it throughout your day. So that being said, we've kind of run over our time, haven't we?
A little bit.
We're going to let you guys get on with your beautiful spring snowy day. And we're going to leave you with this quote from Helen Keller, who said that life is either a daring adventure or nothing.
Those are your options.
They're your options. Have a great day, everybody. We will see you on Friday at 7:30 a.m. If you find that this page is helpful and we're giving out helpful information, please feel free to share it with anyone and everyone. And very soon, our YouTube page is coming.
Yep.
So if you have friends who don't have Facebook or whatever, but they can get to YouTube, we're going to have everything there, and hopefully with nice edits and stuff.
All right.
So
Thank you again. Thanks, Jen, for joining us.
yep. Blessings and peace.
Take care.
Over and out.
Be safe out there.